Welcome back, YouTube. SuperBot Jutsu with another video about my 5 favorite Final Fantasies. Now, to start off my top 5, it's going to be Final Fantasy 12. When Final Fantasy 12 first came out and I played it, I really liked the graphics. The Gambit system was so different to me at the time that, it was okay. I didn't necessarily catch on as quick, so I didn't really appreciate the game. I was playing Valkyrie Profile 2 at the same time, and I was comparing the games. I was like, I'm enjoying Valkyrie more. So I just played 12 and I beat it, and I didn't really care to get in depth into the story because the World of Ivalice, it just felt different from the Ivalice from Final Fantasy Tactics. It felt more like well, now looking back, I see the Star Wars comparisons and everything now, but at the time, my mind just wasn't wrapped around it like that. I was probably like 15 when I was playing it. Didn't appreciate it until about 5 years after that. I played it again, and when I played it again, I did all the hunts and I fought Yazamai, and I just fell in love with the game from that point on. And then I waited until they came out with the Zodiac Ages, and I played it twice again since then, and got a nice file to show for it and everything. So I really do appreciate Final Fantasy 12 for the gameplay. Shoot, not alone the gameplay, the story too. The story is actually really good. It shows character development. It's a plot. It's not predictable, and you kind of get a feeling that there's many characters that can be the main character. Every character pretty much has an important role to the story, to where you don't necessarily want to forget about the characters. Maybe the only one is probably Penelo, in my opinion. She's kind of the most bland character. Honestly, yeah, they don't really even have a background for her. So yeah, outside of Penelo, everybody else gets their story explained to some degree of how they came about and everything, which is actually odd now that I'm thinking about it. But I still did like Penelo character design and everything. My favorite character is Balthier. Then I'll say it'll be Ash, and then it's Bosch. Vaughn, I do appreciate Vaughn so much more now than I did back then. Back then I thought he was like the weakest main character out of all the Final Fantasies post 6, honestly. And do I still feel the same way? Maybe I might still feel the same way if he's the main character, the actual main character. Because to me, it's between Ash, Balthier, Vaughn. It's between those three to me. They all have the most story to me. So he might be, though. He's definitely on this list of the weakest main character. The actual combat of Final Fantasy 12, like I was saying a little earlier, it's so calculated. You can just enjoy playing the game. You can set it up to where you don't have to really do too much, or if you just want to be all hands-on and play the game like that, you actually can. Like, you can play a close to turn-based action RPG, which is actually pretty cool to me. And the way how they revamped the combat system in the Zodiac Ages, it just took it to a whole another level, being able to kind of specifically tune your characters a certain way instead of the original way how everybody can just do everything and learn everything. So it didn't really make you feel like you had a unique party or anything, or like setups, versus this one to where it's like, you can customize all you want. So with all those things adding up, that's what makes Final Fantasy 12 my top 5 Final Fantasy of all time. Number 4, Final Fantasy 9. Now, it's so tough for me to not have put 9 higher because I really, really loved Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9 is actually the first Final Fantasy I shedded a tear on. I was a kid when it came out. I was like 9, 10 years old. Watched my older brother beat the game, and I started crying at the end. Spoiler alert, because I thought that happened. I was really sad. That was my favorite character, so I was so emotional. So I started crying. But after I realized that it was a better ending, I really appreciated it, even from just a kid. And then when I actually played it for myself, I just fell in love with the world of Final Fantasy IX, and the fact that they was rushing to make it while they was making Final Fantasy X, it just makes it that much better, because they really feel like they put a lot of effort into the game. It was a full experience, from them doing all the tiebacks to the previous Final Fantasies. I want to say from 1 through, they might have a Final Fantasy VIII reference. I can't think about it off the top of my head, but I know 1 through 7 they reference throughout the game for a fact. So I'm pretty sure 8 is too. It just made the game that much better. They brought the crystals back, and they did it in a fun way to where it wasn't something that you was expecting at all. It just happened. So that was a great twist in the plot, and it just gave you that feeling of nostalgia and actual Final Fantasy. I also love that they brought back basically jobs, but you was a designated job from the start. They brought back the thief, the black mage, white mage, summoner. It just made the game that much more fun when you wanted to play a certain type of style. And everybody has their own abilities and their own equipment, and you had to learn the abilities off of different equipment. So it made the game really fun. It kept you engaged, made you want to level up all the time. It made you want to also play the mini game, the Chuckograph one, so you can unlock all the ultimate abilities and equipment that you get from it. So that was also really dope about it. I would say my favorite character from Final Fantasy IX is, of course, Zidane. He's just so witty. He's funny. He's shown throughout the entire game how he changes. How he comes off at this playful person, but then you see he's a very serious, caring person, and then he doesn't necessarily know his origins, and then he learns them, and then he goes through like self-doubt and falling in love and regret, just all type of emotions that he goes through throughout the entire game, and it really like draws you to him. And I'll say my second favorite character is going to be Vivi, definitely, because to me, he's a very important part of the story. He helps a lot of characters stay connected, to be real. If you think about it, all the characters are kind of connected to Vivi emotionally or some way. They either take a liking to him, or they see some aspect in him that's good, even though he looks like these evil black mages. So that really made me appreciate Vivi as a character. Yeah, he's a fucking beast, okay? Fucking GOAT. Last but not least, my girl Freya, the Dragoon, aka Miss OP, okay? From the fact that she has the jump ability and her Dragoon abilities, her limit break from Dragon Crest, her storyline, everything about her is just like dope. I mean, and I just love spears. Like, me personally, if it was a weapon that I would use, it's gonna be a lance. It's gonna be a lance, then it's gonna be the katana. Those are my weapon preferences in all games, honestly. And so she just fits my aesthetic of being a Dragoon. Love it. Shout out to Kane. That's my boy too. So that's what makes her my favorite character. Well, my third favorite character. And now for number 3, Final Fantasy X. Now, the funny thing about Final Fantasy X is it took me about 8 years to actually enjoy the game and appreciate it. Yes, I was amazed by how the graphics looked, and it was the first voice acting. All of that was amazing to me, but I was so young, and I just didn't fully grasp the actual mythology of the land of Spera and the Far Plane and all these different terms like Machina and Yevon, all these things. It was just so foreign to me at the time. I was too young to truly understand it, so I took it for granted. And then, like I said, about 8 years after that, I actually had a real playthrough of it, and I fully grasped the storyline, and I just fell in love with the game. The gameplay, the secret dungeons, the extras, from the Blitzball tournaments, everything about Final Fantasy X to me is just like, uh, no pun intended, a 10. 10 out of 10 to me. From the characters, which has one of my favorite characters of all time, Auron, to Waka's hilarious Jamaican accent, to Lulu being one of the amazing black mages you've ever seen. She's so talented. Yuna, she embodies like gracefulness and just being like the perfect humble summoner, and then we see her grow as a person. Riku, one of the favorite thieves. Even Titus, or Titus, however y'all want to say. I always call him Titus. And I enjoyed his growth too. At first I seen him as like a whiny little brat, but then I actually understood where he was coming from. And then it really made me appreciate him so much more as a character in this game. And I even appreciate Kamari too. Even though he is kind of forgetful, but I do appreciate him for what he is. Now, the battle mechanics in the game, I really enjoyed that. The spear grid, it's pre-licensed board, so it was pretty much the most advanced form of leveling up your party members I've seen in a Final Fantasy game at that point. And I just fell in love with it, with just the ability to be able to jump from sphere to sphere if you grind it. There's no true levels in the game, but you still have to increase your stats with each sphere grid. And it's just so many different builds you can go. And yes, it does take a while, you know, like, but you could grind out for a little while and you can do certain things throughout the actual story that can make a big difference, because some of the fights is kind of challenging too. If you're not leveling up the sphere grid, you will kind of struggle, because that's how you actually become stronger. But I'm sure there's challenges to where you can beat it without that though. Final Fantasy X is rich with color, graphics, funny moments, tear-shedding moments. It has one of the best songs in the entire Final Fantasy series. We all know the scene. I really wish I could include it in here without getting flagged. From the plot of the land of Spira and this incarnation of evil called Sin coming around, and a summoner having to sacrifice themselves ultimately to become the ultimate summon, and the person who sacrificed themselves end up embodying sin again, and the cycle and trying to break it. All of that is really dope, and it's really to me original at the time. I don't know too many games that had a similar storyline like that, so that really stood out to me, and it really made me fall in love with Final Fantasy X as a complete game. Even the sequel is great to me, and that's because the first game was so good, you know, like the storyline, everything, you know. So that's what makes Final Fantasy X my top 3 right there. Now for number 2, man, to me it's the most complete but short Final Fantasy, but it's number 2. It's gonna be Final Fantasy VI for me. I love the story, the feeling of the game. It has like this dark, like post-apocalypse like world. Even from the beginning of the game, it just feels like a dark, cold world, and you learn to fall in love with all these characters and their backgrounds. And it's so many different stories. Like, it's at least 12 characters with like a decent amount of like lore and background that includes themselves into the story of the game, to make it feel like all the characters are actually important, and they all are unique. The game itself, with the storyline wise, I mean, it has the second best villain to me, hands down, with Kefka, right after Sephiroth. Shoot, Kefka's laugh is hilarious. The Empire, shoot, the from the beginning, how you learn about Terra, just all these different things about the story with the Espers and the summons. The world just, it engulfs you truly into that world. It makes you feel like you're locked, makes you feel like you're trying to help Celeste or be Sabin. Shoot, from Scion, all the characters. And my favorite character from Final Fantasy VI is actually Shadow. That's my guy right there. I love Shadow. Um, it's just such an amazing game. I love the battle mechanics, with the relics and being able to increase your stats with using the magicite and leveling it up. And it doesn't matter how you do it. You can customize your characters a certain type of way. So it's important to fight and level up wisely depending on what type of stats you're looking for. So that just makes that game even more fun because it really lets you customize how you want to create your party. And you're going to need more than just 4 people, which is so dope about the game in itself too, because it just makes you want to play with every character that you can. Now, Final Fantasy VI don't have a lot of I don't think there's really a secret dungeon per se. I know it's a Coliseum. There's a couple of things you can do, there's a couple of places and ultimate weapons, of course, that you get. But that's why I said it's a complete short game. But they just made up for it with you wanting to level up every character and just beat the game in a complete manner. To me, at least, it just made me want to level everybody up to 99, get everybody, make sure I had the ultimate weapon of everything, and make sure I had all the magic learned for my main party, and it just completed the experience of the game alongside the storyline. That's truly a remarkable game for its time too. Like I said, it's really phenomenal. Complete short game. It might have took about 35 hours to beat total, something like that, maybe a little longer, but that truly makes it a classic because it's short, sweet, you could play it again, great storyline, great battle mechanics, truly phenomenal game. And now my quick honorable mention, Final Fantasy 16. I truly enjoyed Final Fantasy 16, from the trailer, from playing the demo, to actually playing the game, getting halfway through with it, to the finish of the game. From the hunts, everything about the game really made me enjoy the game. From the world, I just dived into the lore behind it. It just had a different feeling, and Clive's story was so compelling to me. It just made me want to actually see it through. It didn't make me just say, oh yeah, cool graphics, yeah, I'm kind of bored now. Nah, it wasn't like that. And I'm not trying to throw no shade at Final Fantasy 15 because it's kind of like that to me, honestly, but I still enjoyed 15 with a very unique fighting system, very unique, but it was definitely fun. You can have it on auto combos, or you can actually learn the different moves and the combo setups and do them yourself and really master the stagger bar and really maximizing your damage output, which is very fun to me, so it has some replayability. Of course, they added some DLC to the game, so it was always some great features that they added. I think it kind of got slept on because of the Final Fantasy fatigue with how they had their formula for the last few games that they came out with, maybe 2 or 3, so people kind of got tired of it. But I really feel like it's really underrated and underappreciated, so shout out to you, Final Fantasy 16. And now my final favorite Final Fantasy in the top 5. Of course, you already know what it is. Final Fantasy 7, hands down. I'm very biased for it. Super fanboy. Like I said, it was my first introduction to Final Fantasy. From the moment I seen it, I fell in love with the game, the world, the story. They have so much to offer. They don't have no secret dungeon, but yet there's secret bosses. There's the materia from the mini games. It's so much to experience in the game. The limit breaks, the materias, with mastering them and duplicating them, just different things, from the W item glitch. It's so many things I can just go on and on about Final Fantasy 7, and it's like I'm literally gonna make it my own video on each Final Fantasy too, because I'm not doing it justice with the short amount of time that I'm actually speaking. But come on now, Sephiroth, do I have to say anything else? One Winged Angel, Tifa, Barret, Red 13, all the characters, Sid, Vincent, Yuffie, they're all just timeless characters that you just cannot think of in no other way besides Avalanche, the legendary crew. They're probably the greatest party of RPG members that I can just think of off the top of my head. Now, maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm tripping, but y'all tell me in the comments if you can think of a more legendary Final Fantasy RPG party in total. Tell me. From the story being very similar to real life problems, from major corporations draining the earth of their natural resources, and being connected to like ancient times and spirituality, just different things is so cool about the game. And how it starts off, how it's just kind of like it's really like human at the very beginning, because it's just dealing with regular problems like resistance and fighting the system and propaganda being spreaded by Shinra and all these things. And then you just hit a point in the game, and then it becomes supernatural, like truly supernatural. And that's that Genova, and then all these different things start happening, and then the game just keeps getting better and better. And it's the soundtrack, all the moments that you experience for playing it on PlayStation 1, it's just timeless. Even the remake, they did it justice to me. I have no real complaints about neither one of the two remakes. I cannot wait for the third remake to come out. You know, I'm a big fan of both of them. They both did them marvelous for how you can do a remake, you know, without going back in time and just recreating the game itself. So I really do enjoy Final Fantasy VII. From Event Children movie. It's so fucking dope. Like, you can't beat it, man. Like, you really can't, man. Like, Cloud is like the ultimate hero, man. Like, you can't beat it. And the crazy thing is, he's not my favorite character in Final Fantasy though. It's actually Vincent. It'll be Vincent, Cloud, and then Sid, and then it'll be Red 13, and then Barret. That's my order. But I definitely love all the characters in their own unique way, because they all have storylines that actually matter to the game, even though they tried to leave my boy Vincent and Yuffie out though. I can just be being biased, or maybe my list is 100% perfect for most people. Maybe it's not. You know, if I'm tripping, tell me. If y'all agree, you can tell me that too. You can like, you can subscribe. I'm going to be dropping more videos like this. Just stay tuned, everybody. This is SuperBot Jutsu. I'll see y'all again.